In today's podcast, you will hear about the problems affecting the global supply chain. We will look at how long shipments are taking, and you will learn key vocabulary to discuss this crisis. So, how have the delays in the supply chain affected your country? Do you know any exporters or importers who are directly affected? Have you seen empty shelves recently? Or maybe you have had to wait a long time to receive a package. There is no doubt that the effects are being felt all over the world. As the world globalized, we began to take for granted the so-called just-in-time delivery. But now delivery times have doubled and tripled, and it leads to the question whether shipping will get faster in the near term, or will the world need to get used to living with longer shipping times as we face new realities? But first things first, here are some of the words you need to talk about the current supply chain crisis. I'll use them a little later so you can hear them in context. Freight. Freight is goods transported in bulk by truck, train, ship, or airplane. A related word is cargo. Gauge. A device or formula for measuring the size, the amount, or the contents of something. In this case, a gauge is used to measure length of time. Glut. An excessively abundant supply of something, in this case a glut of shipped merchandise. Warehouse. A large building where raw materials or manufactured goods may be stored before their export. Longshoreman. A dock worker involved in loading and unloading cargo from ships. Backlog. A backlog is a buildup of work that needs to be done, in this case, a backlog of freight that needs to be delivered. Our lesson this week is taken once again from The Economist magazine, which published an article on January 22nd, 2022, titled, "Just How Gummed Up Our Supply Chains." Now, by gummed up, they mean disrupted. Gummed up comes from the idea of gum, like chewing gum, for example. Something sticky. So imagine what happens when you put sticky gum into any part of a process. When a process gets gummed up, it slows down. So the question is, just how gummed up are supply chains? And the argument the article makes is that the supply chain is pretty gummed up indeed, very gummed up. The article makes the point that a number of different factors has disrupted the supply chain. A principal cause of the slowdown is, of course, COVID-19, which has made the people who work in the supply chain sick, like truck drivers, for example, or the longshoremen who load and unload the boats. Another reason behind some of the delays was a surge in demand for products, a sudden increase, a surge, because even though COVID-19 kept people at home, people began to shop online. Demand boomed, and a glut of undelivered merchandise began to accumulate in ports and warehouses all over the world. So, just how bad is the backlog? Well, the article cites a gauge that measures how long it takes a shipment to move from the supplier's warehouse in China to the departure gate of the destination port in both Europe and the United States. According to this gauge, 3 years ago, the journey from Europe took just under 60 days, and the journey to the United States just under 50 days. Well, those travel times rose steadily after we were hit by COVID-19, and now shipping times to Europe have jumped from 60 days to 108 days, and shipping times from China to the United States, well, those have risen from 50 days to 114 days. There is little sign that shipping times are improving, so we may be stuck with a backlog of merchandise accumulated at the ports for some time to come. Two variables to keep your eye on: the evolution of COVID and a possible change in consumption patterns. Maybe people will begin to buy fewer things, and they will begin to spend again on services like eating out at restaurants or taking a trip or even taking some English classes. Reduce the demand and you will speed up the process, clear the backlog, and reduce the glut of merchandise. Okay, did you catch all those new words? One last time. Freight. Freight is goods transported in bulk by truck, train, ship, or airplane. Freight. Gauge. A gauge is something you use to measure. Gauge. Glut. A glut is an excessive amount of something. Glut. Warehouse. A warehouse is a building where you store raw materials or large amounts of manufactured goods. Warehouse. Longshoreman. A longshoreman is a dock worker involved in loading or unloading. In this case, there is a backlog of freight that needs to be delivered. Okay, that's all for this week's lesson. If you haven't done so already, follow this podcast so we can stay in touch. Visit the website EnglishForEconomists.com to learn about my courses, and of course, share this lesson with anybody else you think would enjoy it. The world really needs economists who can communicate with each other in English across borders. So, keep up the good work, and let's stay in touch. Until next time, this is Alan Robert. Bye-bye.